There we go.
Alrighty, how's it going, man?
Good. Good.
How's the school community and everything been treating you?
They're great. There's been a couple of bots or whatever, people
Yeah,
trying to
dude, I
sell
have
me
to
like,
ban like 10 of them a day. I don't I can't stand that stuff. It's almost as bad as Facebook already. So I can't stand that. Yeah, I don't want your 4X, okay?
but I mean, but otherwise, in terms of like the people, you've done like a really good job of engaging people, which is, that's 90% of the battle, right? Getting people to actually communicate on there. Um, this is my first school community when you and Victor suggested it, or Victor actually suggested it. So it was the first time that I'd been exposed to you at all. That sounds weird. That was the first time that I had known about you at all. So no Diddy. So yeah, man, it's it's just yeah, it was cool. I was like, oh, this guy's like, you speak very you're very candid. There you go. Very candid. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. That works.
So Ricky, tell me what's going on in your business, man. What would you like to get out of this call that I can help you with? And
Yeah.
full transparency, I will leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
If I hurt your feelings, it's not my intention. It's because I care and want you to fix the problems.
Yep. Yep.
So just being
There
real.
you go. I've gathered that. So I'm sure you can ascertain just based off my email. The company, the major company that I'm with is New York Life. I do a lot of um New York Life obviously pushes a ton of life insurance. Specifically, I do a lot more on the annuity side of the business. But recently, we've moved across the country. A lot of life stuff happened. My pipeline just is bone dry, like right now. I haven't sold any. Well, June I had a $30,000 month, and then since then it's been a little bit of an uphill battle, like nothing for the last few months. But one of the things that you talked about was uh, you talked about utilizing webinars in order to like get a group of people together so that you can speak to a large group of people. Does that sound right? So I like when you said that, like legit that weekend I jumped on what is it? Eventbrite. I set up like webinars. So my first one is on Friday, and I have like 3 people that are signed up. Like I was like, okay, cool. Mason said, because you said don't change the rules, just do exactly what I said. So I was like, fuck it. Excuse me. Like, screw it. Like, I'll go out and do
You
it.
don't have to excuse yourself. I approve
Sure.
of your language, young man.
Okay. So I was like, screw it. Like, I'm gonna go for it. So I did it, and I had like 3 people sign up for Saturday. But yeah, I realized that it's a numbers game, right? Just like you've talked about. So 3 people is probably maybe get I might get one. Yeah, that's not good. So how are you able to get larger groups? Like, I don't mind speaking, obviously, but how are you able to get larger groups of people?
I'm very heavy on ads and integration marketing. So what what I do is I find other people's businesses who already like the one of the most fascinating things to me about money is that I can buy other people's life force. Maybe that's the megalomaniac in me. It more than likely is. My mother often tells me I flirt with the borderline of obsession and insanity. And it's like, Mom, I crossed that line a long time ago, dear. I still love you. Uh, so I can buy other people's mistakes and their life force. And what that means to me is they've already taken the time to accrue people and herd their audience together, which means I don't have to go looking for people. I look to influence the influencers. And so if you could get in front of Tony Robbins' audience, like if Tony Robbins brought you on his stage to his millions of people and get you exposure, how many policies do you think you would sell?
Probably like, oh shoot, probably like 6,000, probably like 7,000. Yeah.
How many years would it take you to have 6,000 conversations with these people? How many calls would you have to do today?
Hmm.
You'd quit. You'd say, Mason, turn it off. I'm not doing this anymore. It's too many people.
Yeah.
Great problem to have, by the way. So,
Yeah.
so when I talk about integration marketing, I'm looking at hunting and fishing and wildlife. My audience, when I was selling through webinars to insurance, for insurance, I'd look at buy, sell, and trade groups because my audience was blue collar men. What are they doing? They're looking to trade bows and arrows and video game systems for when they get off work. It's like, where is my audience already? And so I would reach out to the group owner, I would bribe them, I would do whatever it took to say, hey, will you make a post sending people to this webinar? I'll give you 30% of all the profits I make or anything like that. I'll give you $2 per person that registers. I'd work out some type of deal with them. Usually the pay per lead deal is my favorite just because for every person I get on my email list, I should make a minimum of $1 per month. And so if I can pay $2 for a lead, I break even after 2 months. Now, obviously, you'll make way more than that if you actually interact with them, engage. But it's like, where can I go that has a lot of exposure to people? And I mean, they already trust the group owners. That's why I love school. That's why I moved a lot of my stuff over to school.
Yeah. It makes sense.
So, and you guys sell each other in there. So that's another conversation. But a lot of integration marketing. So if I could get on an email list of like a group of people who signed up to a fishing magazine or what, like I would place an ad in there or reach out to hey, how big's your email list? Oh, we have 15,000 hunters and blue collar workers on our email list. Like, awesome. Would you be willing to do this in exchange for X? Like, I'll give you $2 per lead, or I'll give you 30% of all the profits I make, or I'll give you $100 per sale that I make. Here's my plan. I'm going to give them all a life insurance policy and talk to them about the importance of not leaving their kids without nothing. Like a lot of when I'm trying to influence the influencers, like the people who already have this group of people, it's a lot of ego stroking and bribing. So gifts.
Shoot. Okay, that's right. So I love this because I knew that I've never heard it called integrated marketing. I've never heard of that term before. So
Well, what
I
I
was
mean by integration is I'll automate this for the future as well. I don't want a one-off. I don't like one night stands. They're
oh,
fun,
okay.
but they're not sustainable.
Okay.
I mean, there's some girls you're like, can we do like a 3 night thing? Like so I want to, if they have an automated sequence, if they don't, I will offer to build it out for them. Hey, what do you mean you don't have a subscriber sequence for a new email attendee to buy a fishing lure from you? And so I'll write them a 5-part email series. And on day 3, they're talking about insurance and they send people to an automated webinar of mine. I record it once and it sells forever. And people just kept booking on my policies. Now, here's the thing. When you get 18 of these different magazines, email lists, or influencers, and you're integrated into all their businesses, the more they grow, the more I do by default. And so now I'm getting free customers. And they get an affiliate. They get an affiliate fee or a commission from that. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah.
It's
I,
very
I get
I
it
won't say
so much.
advanced.
Mm-mm. I mean, it is, but I was like already on the way there. So I was going after mortgage protection. So I actually called up all my loan officer people and I wrote out an email and I was like, "Hey, send this out to your book." But I didn't bribe them. So like I was looking at how many people actually looked at the email and everything and they haven't even sent it out. So I was like, "Damn. Like I
So
need
here's the
to."
thing. You have to be greedy when it comes to selling to salespeople on why they should sell you. Hey, here's how much money you can expect to make if you send me this many people. On average, for an insurance related webinar, you should hope to convert 5 to 10% for like that's what you should shoot for. 5% conversion, that'd be phenomenal. 10%, you're crushing it. I've never had a webinar convert less than 16. Uh,
When you're saying conversion, you're saying how many people actually show up.
if so,
How
I mean,
many
on at
sales
the
actually-
close. So if you have
Yeah.
200 people register for the webinar, you can expect 25% to show up. Unless you're really good at follow up and getting people there, getting them excited. A lot of this is based on curiosity.
Yeah.
If people can think they know what it is, they tune out. Once something becomes predictable, it gets boring.
Okay.
It's just cognitive bias. If I think I can figure out what you're talking about without showing up, I'm not going to show up. And so none of my webinars are about life insurance. They're about financial empowerment, wealth building, being a better parent today. There's a lot of different paradigm shifts that I'm going after. So when I say 5% conversion, I mean, if 200 people register, 25% show up, that's 50 people. Let's say 10 of them fall off. It gets boring. It's just not for them, blah, blah, blah. Our messaging pushes them away because they're bad fits, which you do want. So you want to weed the bad people out, which the messaging on the front end should do. You should only be talking to one type of person. So 50 people show up, 10 fall off, whatever, their kids were watching that. So 40 people are still on at the close. If you convert 5% of those, you should make how many sales? What is that? 2 or something? 3?
5% of 40?
Yeah. What is that?
8. 8.
8?
Mm-hmm.
That's 20%, isn't it? Or
20. 5, 4, 20. Yeah, you're right. 2. It's 2.
so 2. So 2 people would book calls, you would probably close 1. Now here's the thing. If 200 people registered, you can expect to double your sales on the back end if you follow up through email and text sequences. Hey, watch the replay. This offer is expiring Monday. I usually give a 72-hour deadline. If there's no urgency, if they think they can book a call whenever, they're not. And so I'll typically double my sales on the back end. So if I make 5 sales live on the webinar, I'll typically double that on the back end through the replays. So I'll make an additional 10 sales on the back end from the recording. And then here's the thing, once you have a webinar that performs really well live, or like even if you monitor the conversions on the back end, you can just keep sending people to an evergreen recording of that where they watch it and they book a call. And that doesn't require you anymore. Congratulations, you now have a salesperson working for you 24/7, 365. They don't ask for a raise. They don't take time off. They never get sick. They never sound pissed off. Like the people who bought the program from my webinar last Thursday, I'll show you what I'm working on. So I'm rewriting a complete done for you webinar where you just read my webinar script because I'm the best at it in the damn game. And this is basically let me show you, which will come over here. Like I've already got all the false beliefs, the paradigm shifts and all that stuff, but you'll basically just read my webinar from start to finish. This is what I'm working on today and I'll have it done. But you'll just read from the slides and I will get you customers.
That's awesome. I was listening to I was on that webinar, and so I was listening to some of the little things you were throwing in there, like listening to like very, very specific wording. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why? So then I was wondering, like, why did he say that? Why did he say that then? Like, I think I might have tuned out what you were saying and why you were saying it. Like, I went through this whole thing. But anyway, it was good. It was really good. I just,
It crushed. I had like 60 something people buy from that. So
really, that's great. That's great. The running bud, or not the running buddy, is the
lead
uh,
curation
yeah.
program.
The
Yep,
lead
they bought the
creation. Yeah,
offer.
that was awesome.
So this whole week is just full of onboarding calls and stuff like that. It was a last get up because I'm obviously switching to done for you webinars for people. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a good webinar and I was happy with it. So I don't know. I almost want to run it again just for a cash
Yeah.
injection.
I
So
go for it. I had to log off like 10 minutes before I'm guessing you were finished. I was at my son's football game and I was It was a thing. But anyway, it was a little fight, but that's okay. We're good. Everything's good now. But man, I love your I like the way that you strategize about stuff. It's been really good. And you've been in the game like I got
It's
in
COVID. Yeah,
like right, December 2020. So when I see how far along you've gotten compared to me, I'm like, okay, well, what did we do differently? And it sounds like one of the other things was you've built up a team um just kind of based on some of the things that you've thrown in there. Like you've talked a lot about um building teams. I think that was you, right? Is that right? Does that sound right?
what in what context? Teams.
Like having I guess a downline would be better.
I had an agency. I've built a couple
Right.
of them.
Oh, you did?
And
Okay.
I primarily, if I do anything now, I do a lot of consulting because I have equity in certain agencies.
Oh, that's awesome.
That way I don't have any of the risk,
Yeah.
but I get percentage of the profits for fixing their problem. So it's a lot more advantageous to me, a lot less work, but a lot more money and a lot less risk.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So one of the other things like I need to, let's see, we're in August. By the end of this year, I need to make about 100,000. Like that's the like I need to do that. So if you were me, so let's say 3 months, 5 months. So if you were me and you know that between now and December 1st, I had to make $100,000, like what would you suggest? How would you suggest that I go about that
running a webinar every week,
webinar? Okay. So I did two, and I'm running it on Saturdays and
I would run them on Wednesdays or Thursdays. That's when people are most likely to show up.
not Saturdays. No, okay.
I that That's a general rule I follow Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's middle of the work week. People typically don't have anything going on. They're not drunk. They're not hungover. Mondays are terrible to run.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
the audience you're going after, it's general
yeah. Okay.
for life insurance. So yeah, Wednesdays and Thursdays, they're more receptive to showing up. They have a lot less going on during the week. And the weekend is their only escape. And if you think they're going to spend their only free time with you, that's a lot of commitment for them. We're selfish as humans. I'm not spending my weekend with you.
Let's say so webinar a week.
And it's either 2 p.m. or 7 p.m. to run it. I would say 7 p.m. for you. Most of your people will be off work. And I would focus on how much do you make per sale?
It's about a grand.
$1,000 per sale. So I mean, if you need to make 100 sales in the next 3 months, if you get 30 people to buy a month, roughly 35 people. I don't have my phone on me. Let me pull up a handy dandy calculator.
So then while you're doing that, not last question, one of the other questions. If you had to do it all over again and you were telling like your 1 day old Mason, what would you tell that guy?
Don't listen to
Knowing
anybody in this industry.
do what?
Don't listen to anybody in the insurance industry.
Okay.
They're not
Okay.
marketers, they're salespeople. And you should never take marketing advice from a salesperson.
Huh. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Cool.
I mean, this is about getting a complete stranger to give you money and lots
Mm.
of them and lots of it. So I spend all of my time reading psychology, pickup artist books because they're some of my favorite sales and like marketing techniques, like push versus pull. You give a compliment and you take it away. You build them up and you knock them down. It's one of my favorite marketing techniques, especially for webinars, because it gets you in a rhythm. I build you up, knock you down, build you up, knock. I send you on this roller coaster of emotions. And at the end of it, you say, wow, I don't know what that was, but I feel moved. Of course you did. I just made you feel anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. You just experienced 5 emotions and you're not even used to experiencing one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course you feel moved. But I'm sneaky with it because I'll make you think it was your idea in the first place.
Yeah, you mentioned that a few times, which once again, like I listened to and I'm like, okay, so what does that look like? What does that look like
I
in practical application?
I'm selling to salespeople, and so one of the most influential, persuasive things you can do is point out what sales techniques you are using. Like, hey, what
Gotcha.
I just did right there is a double bind. What I
Mm-hmm.
just used right there was an extended quote. I told you 3 things that are true in a row that are irrefutable facts, and you automatically assume the 4th thing I say is true also, which just happens to be my opinion that I slipped in. There's levels to this.
There is, obviously. Okay, cool. One of the books you recommended, I don't even remember which one it was. You recommended a book in one of the webinars, and you're like buy it right now. So I like jumped on, and I purchased it. So, but I was in Chicago at the time, so
Probably
I
like
came back.
The True Believer by Eric Hoffer or
There's another one. No, I'm sorry, I wasn't in Chicago at that time. I was in Tennessee. I was in Tennessee, so I came back home. It was sitting right there. But um, yeah,
I don't know.
if there's another book you recommend, Push versus Pull, I'll
No, the push versus pull, that is from a pickup artist book. N Neil Strauss, The Game.
okay.
He went and studied pickup artists on how they got girls. But it's simple human psychology. I don't have a problem with getting a girl. If I want to go kiss a girl, I'll go fucking kiss her. I don't need some backhanded compliment or push pull or negging. Dating for me is very simple, but it's like the psychology of what moves different groups of people. Men primarily are guilt driven, women are primarily shame driven. You cannot shame a woman on her behavior. She doesn't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Here, what I mean by that is if she's dating a guy and he gets in a car wreck and he loses his legs, she will leave him
Mm-hmm.
and not feel bad about it
Mm-hmm.
unless the social disapproval. They shame her. Like that makes you an ugly. If it makes her feel ugly or not beautiful, she'll change
Mm-hmm.
it. Like she'll change really quick. For men, it's a lot of guilt, so
Mm-hmm.
behavior based. And so during my webinars, you'll notice if I'm talking to a lot of men, it'll be a lot of guilt based language. You're not doing things that you know you should do. So it's based a lot more on behavior. And hey, by doing this, it will clear your conscience or stuff like that. For women, it'll talk about making them look ugly or appear or feel ugly. You're losing your youth, your curves. I don't know. If you don't buy a policy from me, you'll get a double chin. It call it manipulation, call it whatever you want. You're absolutely right, but it works. People are very predictable. And a lot of this just comes down to I hope people don't use this shit for evil because it absolutely can and will be. It's used in politics every day. Yeah, I mean, how understand you're campaigning for your customers' hearts. Some
Mm-hmm.
people aren't going to like that. Some people are. And if you're not congruent with who you are as a person, your audience will sniff you out. We can smell deception. We can smell horrible intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I do know the people who do use this for evil, one, are not smart enough to use it, and two, other people will sniff them out and not buy anything from them. It's sales, influence, whatever you want to call it. It's manipulation at its core.
Really is. Yeah.
We all do it.
At one level or another. Yeah. 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 You're when you have kids, man, it's gonna be really interesting. It's like they're gonna be little.
Yeah, when they try to play their bedside politics against
Yeah.
me, Mom, can I stay up for 10 extra minutes?
Yeah.
No. And they come to try to ask me, like, what'd your mom say? It-
It's gonna be real fun, man.
I'm
It's
yeah, I just started seeing a girl, so we'll see where this goes. I definitely want kids in the near future.
good
Right
luck.
now I'm a little bit too selfish. So
I had to do it all over again because you're what? You're in your 30s, right? Or early
26.
you're 26? Shit, man. Fuck, I'm 40. So I got a
At
few.
least you don't look it. You got good genetics, my brother.
Black doesn't crack. Uh, man, you're 26. Damn, man. What was I doing when I was, I was, nah, that
I'm
was
not
bad.
doing what most 26-year-olds are doing. I'll tell you that. No one stays and plays chess and reads war books on Saturday. What? But I'm a weird dude. I'm proud of it. So
That's good.
yeah, I mean, I think webinars are no one else has figured out how to do this in the insurance industry. Or if they do it, it's to a group of 10 seniors at a retirement home, and it's just not as effective as what I do. I'm truly selling to the masses. Like my buddy Alex did one of these. He got 300 something people on the webinar. 122 people ended up buying policies. Stupid. It's unheard of.
I'm okay with that.
So yeah, if you focus on getting 1,000 people to show up to a webinar, you'll make 100 sales. There's your 100K.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's how many people do I need to get on a webinar each week to show up live over the next 3 months? How many webinars can you do? Let's just do the math on this and I'll give you some clarity. So if you did one this Friday, next Friday, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You got 12 cracks with this. So if we take 1,000, not 11,000, Jesus, cheese and rice, divided by 12, you need to get 85 people on a webinar each week. And it doesn't even have to be live. They just need to watch it. 83 people need to watch it each week. You can assume half of them are going to watch it. So get 160 people to register for each one.
Half. Yep.
So you want 2,000 people to register for it. Half of them will watch it. And just to play on the safe side, I'd get 3,000 people to register. I just play devil's advocate, worst case scenario on every single thing that I do. I plan for the worst, and typically it ends up working out very well.
Cool.
Just because the sheer number of volume and
Yeah.
candidates that I'm throwing at it. But I mean,
Do you block off days, specific days or times that you're selling, or is it just like all
I'll do a
day?
2 hour time block for what you guys are doing. It's not as intensive or as high as a ticket as what I sell. Like I've sold $15,000 programs on a webinar and didn't have a problem with it. For what you're selling, it's very low commitment in terms of price. It's high commitment in terms of the frequency of the billing.
Mhm.
If I billed you every day, you would cancel. If I billed you once a year, you would probably forget about it.
Correct. Yeah.
And so where's the balance? Once a month for something this ticket, you'll probably sell an $80 a month policy on these calls. On the back end is where you're going to get your annuity sales.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
the easiest person to ask for money is someone who's already given it to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. 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 That's what that's exactly the reason why I'm going this route. And I was like, well, mortgage, if someone gets mortgage protection, that means they have a house. If they have a
It's a lot
house
of
that
trust. It's a lot of trust to do an annuity with somebody. People just gloss over. I'm just going to decide to sell IULs and annuities. It's like
yeah.
you're 3 days in.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean? No one trusts you. So yeah,
Yeah.
build a book of business first. Go sell 1,000 people a policy, and I promise you'll sell 20 of them in a big annuity.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I love this. I love this. I had like a page worth of stuff, and it's very actionable stuff. Oftentimes, I feel like I get on these, like when I talk to people, they're like, well, you know, it's a lot of fluff, but you got down to meat, and there's numbers associated with it, which I can vibe with. I'm like, all right, that
You
that's
just give me that vibe, so I'm just giving you what I believe will best serve you.
appreciate that, man.
You have to
Appreciate that.
meet people where they're at.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. I got 6 kids, so I'm just like I've got a goal for my wife And then the way that New York Life compensates us is like it's pretty dope if we get a certain amount of sales in and everything. So like the commission sales on top of just the sales themselves, there's like bonuses that are fuck like 50 an additional 55%. So it's easy for us to make like 110% on stuff.
I'd
So
say do as much as you can to protect yourself. Build your book of business, build a client, like a customer acquisition machine, and then go move your contracts.
yeah, I already
Here's what bonuses mean in the insurance world.
yeah.
We give with one hand, and the other hand shall taketh away.
Mm-hmm.
Bonuses just mean like they're taken from you. Like, what do you mean I want a trip to Cabo? Like, why not? Instead of sending me on a trip to with people I don't want to go on a fucking trip with, give me the money I earned. Here's what
Gotcha.
you'll find at these trips: swingers and alcoholics who hate themselves.
Man, okay.
I've been on more damn insurance trips that I won than anything, and it's always some dude drunk and he falls over and busts his head. Like, I watched the agency owner just like he's playing with this iguana in Cabo, and he gets half of his fingertip bit off, and he's just, I was like, "What are you doing, dumbass?" It's like, how did you get 200 people on an agency to follow you?
Uh-huh. Is he a young guy?
In his 30s, but I mean, it just,
No offense to you, young.
oh,
So you got you did what you had to do, but
he's
that's
over bleeding in the pool with his AIDS. Get out of here, dude. How did you win this trip?
wow.
So I don't I'm biased. I don't like most of the people in this industry because I know who they are behind closed doors. And that's why I'm
Uh
telling you, don't listen to any person in this industry.
gotcha. Gotcha.
I the only reason I made it was because I got outside help from real marketers and real business people.
Yeah,
Buying leads and following a script is not a business system. It's slavery.
gotcha. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna go through your sales, like your sales process again.
The
You
profit
had
framework,
profit. Yeah, I have to go through that again because there's that was like the first time I'd heard of that. If you heard, I'm sure you've heard of NEPQ. So I was using NEPQ, but it's long, number one. And number two, people were getting like mad emotional. Like I had people like sobbing on the phone with me and stuff to the point where they didn't want to talk to me anymore because they were women. They were like, and some guys actually just hung up the phone on me. They're like, I can't, like, why are you
it's too pushy.
right? So like I like yours because it's like a condensed version of NEPQ. It asks all of the poignant questions, so it kind of gets to the meat faster and makes people think about
Well,
it.
here's the guiding principle. Here's the unique mechanism that makes my profit framework so profitable. Is it uses a lot of conversational hypnosis. So it gets people to open their mind to the possibility that they are not right. Think about it. When they say the customer is always right, what? The customer's current thinking got them their fucking problem in the first place. How on earth are they right? What people pleaser, what simp came up with this to sell hamburgers or to get a girl that didn't even like him? The customer's very rarely right.
Mm-hmm.
We know that, they don't. Here's the thing, you can't make them wrong. I live in a world where two things are true at the exact same time. The customer is both right and wrong. If you tell them they are wrong, you are breaking rapport because you are disagreeable. So what you have to do is let them carry out their current beliefs to see, oh, this is actually very disempowering if I keep living like this. But they come to that conclusion because here's a second principle why the profit framework's so profitable. We reject what we are told. We never doubt what we ourselves conclude. If
Yeah,
it was my
you said that.
idea, you ain't convincing me otherwise. So if I can make people think they came to that conclusion, that's 10 times more persuasive than anything I could ever say. How did I come up with this? Sun Tzu. He says, we ourselves know how to protect ourselves from defeat, just like the enemy reveals to us how they can be defeated. Now I'm butchering that quote, but I'm just simplifying it. The enemy has to tell us how they want to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
What is the enemy? Their limiting beliefs. Their current. I just try to give you guys the right questions to
Yeah, yeah.
ask without having to learn all this.
Yep.
I'm not making you better. I'm just helping you find poker tables with worse players that bet large amounts of money and don't care to lose.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Awesome.
follow it. Any PQs based on reframing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing is we're changing the context or changing the meaning of what they are saying. Like when someone tells me this is too expensive, what's your normal rebuttal to that? How do you combat that?
Personally, I'll ask them if they're talking about the cost or the price. And then they're like, what? What are you talking about? Then I'll say, well, if you're talking about the cost, like, is it less expensive to life insurance? Is $50 a month worth, $1 million towards your family? Or are you talking about like I can't afford it? Like, this is just too big of an obligation. So I kind of talk about, and they're like, well, that's kind of usually how I go about it. So it starts off with a question, kind of goes from there.
I do like that. If you're going to use a price versus cost thing, I would make it an analogy to something they can already have a lot more similarity with,
Okay.
because the brain works with association. That's how we attach meanings to things. And so they
Yep.
don't understand insurance
Yeah.
like we do. And so price is what you pay for once. Cost is what you keep paying. It's a recurring cost. Like that pair of shoes that you wore twice and threw away. Yeah, they were only $20, but the cost per wear was $10. Whole lot different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The more you use it, the cheaper it gets in cost.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something women can relate to. Like, it was $10 every time I wore that pair of shoes. Like, that's expensive. It's how you delineate and bounce. It's the brain works with comparison, contrastive analysis. And so it has to have something to compare it to. But my favorite, it's like it is too expensive. I like agreeing with him. Like, I will follow the customer is always right, even though I know it's not true. Yeah, it is too expensive for the wrong person. Ooh, what a sting. Well, am I the wrong person? That's what they have to ask themselves.
That's
And
that
now they're
company.
qualifying to me.
Yeah.
Or too expensive compared to what? Netflix? What you have to figure out what they're comparing the expensiveness to. Well, compared to a cheeseburger, yeah, it's expensive. But compared to the cost of having your kids try to come up with $200,000 to pay off the house and not be homeless, well, I think it's laughably underpriced after that.
Yeah.
So
Is
that's
your stuff virtual?
depends on the customer.
Okay. So you have gone in person? Yeah. Okay.
The
For
more
high.
I make, the more I want to treat my customers like royalty. I want to give higher paying customers a jet shopping experience, and the $20 a month,
Yep.
it's we're going to the Goodwill.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Just think about it.
Yep. 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 Yep.
You got anything else, man?
Nope. That was perfect. Appreciate you.
Has this been helpful? What'd you get out of today's call?
Page and a half worth of notes.
What are you going to
And
do with it?
so the webinars, I'm already like well on that. So I already have the one on Saturday already set up, but I'll just plan out the rest of the year. That's and then in terms of the integration marketing, I already have that, like the framework of that already built in. I have a ton of loan officers that I'm connected with. So I'm
You don't
just
even
gonna
think just loan officers, just what else are your people doing? They've gotten who do they listen to? Who do they listen to messages from that they have an affinity with? Are they listening to people like Tony Robbins? Do they have social media influencers that they follow? Comedians? It just where else can you get a large swath of people that you wouldn't have had exposure to otherwise?
okay.
Because maybe they don't like the loan officer and they're not going to listen to what they say either. But they do trust the person on Instagram they follow who has 5,000 followers and shows them a motivating lifestyle. Diversify, because all your traffic's coming from one source right now.
Yeah.
And then you can test, oh, all my best customers all come from this comedian page. Let me find more comedians.
Got it. Okay. Comedian, whatever. I understand. You don't mean that literally, but influencers. Okay.
No, and I do mean that literally as well. Comedians are a great source.
Really? Okay.
They're some of the only people who make your audience feel happy. And here's the thing, when they get told from one of the only sources of happiness in their life or laughter what to do, they will then associate that with you.
Shit, that's great. Okay.
Most salespeople make most people feel bad. And so if they say, hey, I'm a salesperson, go listen to this other sales, they're going to feel bad about you by default. And you haven't even opened your damn, you didn't even get a chance. You're not selling to clean slates. These people have had the football pulled away from them. It's like Lucy and Charlie Brown. Every time they've gone to do something, the salesperson pulled the football away from them, said, gotcha. And so what do they think you're going to do?
Too young to know about Lucy and Charlie Brown. What do you know about that?
That's one of the best sales trainings I could ever give. Lucy and Charlie Brown.
Awesome.
People have a desire to believe and a fear to believe. So humans are predictable, my man.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. That was awesome. It's awesome. Very, very actionable stuff. So yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing what you do with it. I'll follow up with you in the near future and see what you did with these webinars, but I'm proud of you. So keep going, dude.
All right. Appreciate you, man. You take care. Have a good one.
See you, buddy.